I'm all for body positive action figures.
Not me.
Give them a little bit of like an extra, like a Darius bump right here. Give them one of those.
It is like it. I think that it stems from our.
Look at this Scarlet Spider though, dude.
Like
Ben, dude,
that guy doesn't skip leg days.
Genuinely, in Across the Spider-Verse, they definitely screwed Ben Riley. Ben Riley, easily the coolest Spider. Scarlet Spider, easily the coolest Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this whole
Nerfed
jacked action hero thing comes from you and I being kids in the late 90s.
For sure.
Where like that's totally the comic book style, right? It's just like
dude,
Cable is just like ungodly, like it's so weird. You know, everybody's jacked out of their mind.
And they always have the little patches, like a little patch for whatever. Like, what are you putting in there?
Yeah.
You always have like a thing, you know?
It's just in case. Which I got you a present, Ben, and then I forgot it.
Why'd you give me a present?
It all happened too quickly. Because we're in Victoria, Canada, and over the 4th of July. And we popped into this like novelty candy store, and I bought candy cigarettes. I got two separate kinds, but I think they probably are just the same chalk white taste. But then there were Batman Nemesis.
These are menthol.
Candies, blue raspberry flavored for some reason. I don't even know. That just is Batman Nemesis candy. And Ben's been talking about doing villain, the best villain.
He keeps talking about his villain arc.
I was like,
he keeps bringing up the fact that he's going to have a villain arc. And I don't really know what it means, but he's obsessed with
Batman Nemesis.
He'll oftentimes say things like, "Oh, you'll see."
What do you guys think? Aesthetically,
and one day you'll know.
Aesthetically pleasing, hat forward, hat backwards.
I feel like it's a hot summer day. Let's do hat back.
You go hat backwards?
Oh.
And I like this.
And shirt off.
Well, all right. This is a very millennial thing for me, I think. I like layers. I like even though it's literally 101 degrees out.
Yep.
I want like, a nice corduroy.
I do not have central AC. Same question for me. Shirt down or shirt?
Perfect. Bro. Okay.
Or shirt like this.
Can you guys see? Check this.
Can see my baby bump.
This tan line. This is like, let's cut this. This is going to be good Instagram fodder.
Here, let me get
Don't put my nipples on Instagram.
What you just had. No. What we just had.
I'll never be in the podcast again. My wife will make sure. Yes.
Look at this tan line that I have, and then I'll break it down and explain it to you. You see that?
I can't. Coming through the camera, you just look red.
Okay. Can you see?
Oh no, I do see it.
You want to know why? Because
it's one of those
folds of my neck come down, and I was putting a shirt on in the hotel room. And I lifted my head and I saw in the mirror and I saw this perfect like tan line, and I realized that is where the folds of my neck
you should draw like the mouth of a shark right there.
It's just like, this is a farmer's tan sort of like style of tan line, but it's because my neck is too fat. And I was like, all right, that's the first time that's ever happened.
That's the next level.
This is
usually this is the farmer's tan. You hit the second level of.
I mean, broski. I'm like, we're doing it. So anyway,
obviously I wear tank tops 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. Well, so I don't have. I only have.
All right, thank you guys for joining late. We got on the ferry at 10:30 this morning. I was like, I'll get home. It's fine. Yeah. It turns out, Darius, you lived in Port Angeles. We got in the ferry at Port Angeles, went to Victoria. It is a hike, man. It's an hour and a half ferry ride. And we were the first ones off the ferry. And it's still like, we had 2 bathroom breaks. we were kind of we could have been faster.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be close to 5 hours from Port Angeles to Yakima.
Dude, so
Port Angeles is out there.
I've made that trip before.
Essentially, I dropped Kate off at 5:20, so it was 10:30 in Victoria, 5:20. Yeah, and now I'm here. So
yeah, that's a 7-hour travel day. Good for you. That sounds terrible.
So we'll let's try and we'll get this in tidy. We'll be tidy.
Let's get it. We'll be tidy whities.
You should not say that because now this episode will be an hour and a half.
3 hours long.
This will be our longest episode.
It'll be very tight. No,
actually, I just thought of maybe the name of the podcast is what's keeping more viewership. Maybe we should change it from NewWayStories to Two Tidy Whities and a Salazar.
I thought you were going to do like a brown stain.
Dude.
Ouch.
Wow.
Jeez.
Whoa. Shots fired.
Ben, there are children that listen to this.
That's why I have the action figures. Distract them while I make notes like that.
Ben, you've been grilling today? You're rocking that apron pretty hard.
Well, that's a great point. Ben, I asked it of the apron as well. They were cooking.
It's a nice apron.
I said, do you typically go apron?
Mm-hmm.
Then what'd you say, Ben?
I said, no, it's because I'm eating pasta and I will make a mess on my shirt.
Oh, wait, you're eating. I thought you were cooking the pasta.
Mm-hmm. Everything.
You're just eating
I will
the
make
pasta,
a mess.
Which is, I mean, okay.
A man
but you're
whose
done
wife makes
eating
him
the
wear a pasta bib.
Yeah.
Still rocking the apron.
I'm already sitting down.
Hey, man, it's a good look. It's a good look.
I one time was asked if I would help make a breakfast for the staff at Faith Tri-Cities when I worked in Pasco. And I said yes. And I showed up there because I'm often late for things. People think I don't like to get up early. But when there's a chance to be up at like 5 a.m., I love it. I really enjoy it. I got up half an hour earlier than I needed to. I got to the kitchen. And the other guys I was supposed to be making breakfast with were like, men in their late 50s, early 60s, a group of them. So I got there first, wore short shorts, took my shirt off, put an apron on. So like it looked like I was nude, but the apron, and just started doing dishes. So that as soon as all the old men walked in, I could say, hey guys, wore my cooking clothes this morning. And they loved it. One of them was my boss, and he loved it the most. But he was like, "You're probably going to change, right?" And I was like, "I'm definitely going to change."
Yo, now that you've asked me that, I'll change.
I got to run home real quick.
Wasn't necessarily intentional. All right. Sweet.
After he snapped my underwear, he was like, "You're going to change, though, right?" Ooh, ow, that stings.
Let's get this baby started.
Yep.
Gonna get this party started. Is that's an old Family Force 5 song?
Oh, I was doing
Gonna get the party started.
I'm more of a Black Eyed Peas guy myself, which is why I wake up every morning. I look at myself in the mirror and I say, "Hey, let's get retarded."
Oh, I can never find that version.
Start my day.
Is that they've Ben just closed the door?
Yeah,
goes,
let me.
Malia doesn't need to hear this.
Yes.
Hey, welcome to welcome to NewWayStories. My name is Jesse, and if that is still in the pod, you know that you're in for a wild ride. Mm-hmm. You are in for a wild ride today. With me, as always, Darius Giles.
Yep.
Old Tinky T Trev, we call him. Ben Salazar. Ben Salazar. He's rocking the apron. Mm-hmm. He's in here. He's cooking. This is his lab.
This is my lab.
This is, he goes, if you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen.
Yep.
But their AC's, not working. So it's a whole different thing. I just ripped
he does a lot of hip hop. His friends
out of
say
my ear.
his gen.
Put these back on.
Okay, well, Jesse's just going to keep talking without his headphones in. What I was going to say was, Ben is a young man and also a hip hopster, as they call him these days, a hip hopster.
Yeah.
And his friends say, let him cook.
Let him cook.
And he ate.
There you go.
Because he does a lot of mukbang videos.
Are you?
He makes a lot of mukbang videos.
I don't know what that means.
It's these videos where you just watch people eat. They make me very uncomfortable.
What?
It's usually very large people. and they will have.
Oh, I get it now.
They'll have. It's like the entire McDonald's menu.
Okay.
And it's an hour long, and they eat the whole thing.
They eat the whole thing.
It's like watching people overeat. I don't know. I don't really actually want to get into it. I feel bad that I referenced it now. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing that's out there.
It's not a good thing.
It's not necessarily the creativity that we're talking about.
No.
But, you know, it's out there. Oh, my gosh,
You should show.
I just knocked. This is Christian Bale from Batman. We're in Ben's little studio thing where he has a bunch of action figures, and this is Christian Bale's just here to support me.
Yep.
He looks like he is, I don't know, 2 arms out. This is a weird stance.
You can move him a little bit. He's got.
No, I mean not a ton range of motion.
How many points of articulation does that action figure have? It looks like he's got maybe less than 12.
There we go. Okay, we can go. Now he's in a real. He does
that weird fighting stance in The Dark Knight with his hands up like this.
Yeah. I wonder what that is. They're probably, a lot of times there's some sort of like fight choreography where there's actually some sort of thought process behind.
They hired this dude who has his own self-defense martial art. Like he created, he's done a lot of different martial arts. They hired this guy. It's actually really, really interesting. All of those strikes from The Dark Knight 2 are very, very specific to this one guy's brand of self-defense.
Interesting.
He created. I don't think that it actually is functional. Personally, it looks unhelpful. But that guy who invented it could probably beat the crap out of me. So there's that.
I mean, I like it's when you hear the thought process behind stuff, you're like, okay. For me, I'm like, okay. Bruce Wayne, especially in the Nolan trilogy, went all over the world, studied with ninjas, but then kind of became his own person. And then he also is working with gadgets.
Yeah.
And so you have you can create a whole different style. So I'm down with it. Like you said, whether it's functional or not. It's Hollywood, so it doesn't matter. Yeah,
there's no real fighting style that enables you to beat up 12+ people at the same time. That's not a thing.
That was
if the 3 of us teamed up, we could beat up Conor McGregor. Like if the 3 of us teamed up,
I don't know if that's
crap out of. No, we could.
If you go for the legs, and then if 2 of us go for the legs, then we'll have a shot.
One of us would get knocked out. I would jump in and take an L, and he would knock. Like he's got heavy hands. He would knock me out or break all the bones in my face first try, and then the 2 of you would just start wailing. Like
it would be close. I think it would be close.
If it was like somebody who weighed 400 pounds, maybe not.
I was thinking. Jackie Chan, one of the difference between Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee.
Yeah, the 3 of us could dust Jackie Chan. He's old.
Well, now because he's 80, but
you communist.
Like Bruce Lee, in Bruce Lee's fights, there's always a group of people that he's taking on, right? He's taking on an entire dojo, right, to defend his master's honor or whatever, but it's always one at a time, right? Yeah. Like they jump in, he beats him up, and then the next guy jumps in, and he's barely like getting attacked from behind. Yeah. Jackie Chan was like, that's ridiculous. If I'm fighting a mob, they're all going to try to attack me at the same time. And so he's just getting the crap kicked out of him through all of his fight scenes.
Yeah.
But he still, he still wins, which is, awesome. A Jackie Chan choreographed fight scene is one of my most favorite things to watch.
I think that's one of the reasons there's so many people who are like guilty pleasure fans of Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think that's really cool for people to be like, this is a guilty pleasure. For me, Fast and Furious doesn't even come close to cutting it. It's Jason Statham movies. Like, for me, they tried
to make it Jason Statham movie.
Oh, that's right. He's in a couple of those. Yeah. There has to be martial arts throughout it for it to be a guilty pleasure action movie for me, really.
Okay. So my one quick question was actually going to be, I think we talked about this a little bit. The guy from, oh my gosh, Foo Fighters, Nirvana.
Dave Grohl.
He
has a line.
David Grohl.
He has a line that says like, there should be no such thing as a guilty pleasure. Like you should like what you like. Don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
However,
I agree.
I think society you still have your guilty pleasures. You know,
They're frowned upon.
especially, someone like me, I'm like, yeah, I'm a film nerd, comedy nerd, whatever. But then like, I love Mystery Men or like dumb comedy movies, Hot Rod, like amazing. Those are,
for me,
you could say those are guilty pleasures because I want to also enjoy the refined things, but it's like, this is still really funny.
I mean, Christopher Nolan loves Fast and Furious, so I think you guys, you liking Minutemen is fine.
Yeah, Mystery Men.
Whatever.
Minutemen is the decom.
Yes.
It's bad.
What is
It's real
Minutemen?
bad. It was way after our time, but I watched it with Brittany. We've watched a lot of decoms together.
Watched it. It was when I was a kid. It was a Disney movie when I was.
Who's the tall kid that's in it?
Speaking of decoms,
I don't remember.
I was watching the thing with Zac Efron, and he was just like
going over his
The Vanity Fair thing.
Yeah, he was like,
That was fun.
I don't think a lot of people know this, but this was a made-for-TV movie. I'm like, who doesn't know that High School Musical is a made-for-TV movie?
It's also funny in that interview. Like, I like Zephron. I think he's great. But he's like, the thing I'm really proud of about that scene is I really drilled all those shots so I can make all those baskets. And I was like, dude, literally none of us care. Yeah. Literally none. We like, you're dancing. We care about the dancing. If you would have like, be proud of the dancing. You're not a basketball player. Don't be proud of the basketball, bro. Like that doesn't, nobody who's watching that who's like, I really sat down to critique the hooping of this young Zephron character.
High School Musical, pretty good movie. Hoops aren't really realistic.
They didn't have their head in the game.
They actually did not have their head in the game. Contrary to popular belief.
Man,
all right, so
this guy's his head's in the game, but I think his heart is in the song.
Ben, what is your guilty pleasure movie, song, whatever?
Okay, I think
style music.
Movie is pretty obvious, and I was actually thinking about it today. The Flash.
That is a guilty pleasure because that movie sucks.
Love The Flash to this day.
Okay. Yeah.
Listen,
I get it. There's comedy in it. There's the Easter eggs, right? Like if you just enjoy this, I don't mean this negatively. But like nerd Easter eggs are just like pandering and echo chambers of like to nerds.
You like this? You remember this?
You like this? You know this? You're like, I knew about that, and then
South
it says,
Park member
hey,
berries.
You knew about that. Here, I'm gonna throw this in so that you can like it, right? And and if you feel that, you're listening to 3 hours because the movie's entirely too long. You're listening to 3 hours of them being like, you're a nerd. You're a nerd. You're awesome. You're a nerd. And you're like, yeah, I freaking love this. So I get it.
But that's not the reason I like it.
That's a very critical thought process to do.
It's a little cynical.
Yeah, a little cynical. But I
you
get
also
it,
love
right?
that.
I get that feeling, but that's not why you like it.
No, I like it because it was the first time seeing The Flash, his story told on screen, and I thought there were a lot of really good like emotional moments. I'm like, you know what? This is not the best movie ever, but I'm glad I'm seeing this on screen for the first time. It was good to see Michael Keaton back. I enjoyed him, even the small role he had.
I mean, he was the best part of the movie.
Yes, and then there were a couple of actually pretty funny moments. So,
dude, the Back to the Future thing. Speaking of like deep cuts, the Back to the Future thing is. We talk B to the F. That scene is great.
I mean, especially as a
really
Back to the Future fan, right? You're just like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
this is how you should be talking about Back to the Future. And I don't encounter enough people in my daily life.
Look,
that.
Okay, I'm not trying to like completely derail this, so I won't. But man, we need to talk about Bob Zemeckis,
bro.
Where is it? Is it called Here? The new movie
Here,
that Bob
the new
Zemeckis. I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in the deep end. I've done
honestly,
a 1.5 front flip to a dive.
Kate started to show me the trailer, and it was like from Robert Zemeckis. I was like, oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
You don't have to show me the rest of the trailer. I'm in. Like Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks, we're back, baby. We're doing it.
And Robin Wright. Wright. For a whole generation, that's an Easter egg in and of itself. Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, the greatest love story of all time. So good.
I'm pumped for it.
The Flash is my favorite music. I feel like it's not like this is a thing that everyone hates. It's just weird for me to like it as much as I do. I enjoy Charlie XCX. She had a new album come out.
That is.
Yeah.
She's kind of like the cool edgy girls Taylor Swift.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
She makes a lot of hyper pop.
I'm so old. What does hyperpop mean?
It's like obnoxious synths, really loud bass, a lot of auto tune.
Okay.
Literally
You're
everything
right.
I would have guessed. I just didn't want to be ignorant. But yeah, okay,
Yeah.
got it. Take pop, put it on Ritalin. Let's go.
Hyper it up.
Distorted a
Hyper
little
it up.
bit. A lot,
Yeah, okay.
way too much auto tune. But she had a new album. Oh, what's it? Brat. And there's a couple other songs from her other albums I enjoy. But I was listening to it and I'm like, man, this is really cool. But I don't want people to know I listen to it. And now I'm saying it on the pod.
I love that. Okay, now I'm saying it to literally tens of people. We had talked about T Swift. You said the edgy T Swift. We talked about Tortured Poets Society or whatever that's called. And I'm not going to get into it a whole lot, but I've been listening to it more and more, and there's definitely a few songs on there that are quite catchy. And I took the stance that I don't think that it's necessarily prolific, and that there's not going to be, a song off this album that we're going to be listening to in 10 or 15 years, like all of her other stuff. I lied. There's like 3 or 4 at least.
Every time anybody goes to Florida from now on, like there is that's the Florida song now. Like she did it. She made a song for a state.
There's something about making a song for a state or a city. When Kate and I were in Chicago, dude, it was Joe on repeat when we're back in Chicago. And that song hits specifically for Kate and I a little bit more.
That's your song. Take it.
It's literally our song.
Yeah.
That's dope.
It's not necessarily the sound of screen doors, but that's another Taylor Swift, our song joke. But yeah, it's now Chicago. Like we're back in Chicago. We're gonna listen to that song for
if you don't get hyped, listen to it. If you don't get hyped, listen to Empire State of Mind when you go to New York City.
Yeah,
then you're a weirdo.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that song's just a bop anyway. But yeah, I don't really have guilty. Go ahead.
I'm gonna steal your guilty pleasure because you talked about letting. I want to hear what your guilty pleasure is. Then we'll talk about a thing that you and I were talking about. My guilty pleasure. I don't have guilty pleasure movies because I only enjoy quality things.
You're like Chris. No. You're like Chris from Parks and Rec. My body is like a finely tuned computer. One speck of dust. Stop.
The guilty pleasure is in film is 80s action movies. It is like Kate and I were talking about this. We'll pop on like we tried to watch Lindsay Lohan's like new movie or whatever, the rom-com on Netflix. Dude,
it's like a Hallmark type movie.
Dude, bro, it's bad. It's so like stylized and terrible. And I'm like, this is awful. And then I can't remember what we were watching, but Kate was like, oh, I popped on one of the new Tremors, which is like Tremors 5, like not even the actual good one, but like Tremors 5. She was like, this is just as bad as the Lindsay Lohan movie. And I was like, yeah, no, I totally get that, but it's Tremors, so I can deal with it.
Irish Wish, is that the movie?
Yeah, it's
Justice
really bad.
For Lindsay, man, she deserves better. She was so good, bro. In The Parent Trap, that
Mean
movie
Girls,
is phenomenal. Mean Girls is so good.
Freaky Friday,
yeah, that's
Freaky Friday.
She had a run.
For me, Freaky Friday is not. My wife she loves Freaky Friday. For me, Freaky Friday is definitely not on the same level as Mean Girls and Parent Trap.
No, definitely not.
I
would say this though. Jamie Lee Curtis is actually really funny.
She's good. I like Freaky Friday. Yeah, dude. Parent Trap is a movie I could watch. It's like when you talk about like hotel movies, like movies if it's on in the hotel, you'll never turn it off. Parent Trap, dude. This score and the soundtrack.
Kate and I just rewatched it. It's good. Dennis
It's amazing.
Quaid, man.
Speaking of movies you watch in a hotel, we watched Beauty and the Beast on our last vacation.
Let's go.
The live action one.
I love it.
It's not
I
bad.
love
No,
it.
it's
It's
good.
pretty good.
It's
not the worst.
It is
I mean,
of-
you know,
it is of my favorites of the live
Yeah.
action for sure.
it's a low bar, but still.
So I would say definitely, movies for me though. I think ska punk music is like,
Ooh.
dude, if you get some horns going with like, I'm like, yeah, I love it. And I get it. It was like a fad for 2 years, and no one who is making ska punk music is still in the industry, or
No.
they're still making
No,
music.
they're just
but-
waiting for the next Tony Hawk game to come out.
I know.
Dude, bro.
They're like, please come out with another Tony Hawk.
It's
We might, so we
Tony
have
Hawk
the chance to get
2,
our
man.
song on
go.
the album. On the game.
There's a chance ska might return because it's every 30 years kind of trends come back.
I
Oh,
could see because the way they were using horns and stuff is actually a ton of fun. Like,
Oh, it's great.
Speaking of hyperpop, 100 Gex, I talked about them a while ago. They kind of dip into ska a little bit.
really?
Yeah, I should show you some stuff.
Yeah, I'm in. All right, Darius, what's your guilty pleasure?
Mine are not secrets. I posted on Instagram and Facebook last time I was listening to High School Musical while I was doing the dishes. So that's like that would be a, is it embarrassing?
DComs
Yeah, is it-
probably would fit into that.
For sure. Yeah. Like, is it like, am I like proud of the music and like, hey, this is a deep cut, like this is a great song. I think everyone is going to be enriched by it. No, but it makes me feel happy and good. And I'm not ashamed of that in any way. I like the vibe. So for me, the thing is, none of it's secretive. If I cried watching Lilo and Stitch in my bed alone 2 weeks ago,
Dude,
like I'm not ashamed of it.
I like the things that bring me to tears. Like are so weird. Like I was watching. Have you guys seen The Bear?
Yeah,
I
watching
want
new
to
season.
watch The Bear so
You should
bad.
Season 2. There's an episode called Forks, and he's like
Oh, yeah.
Richie. He's like working at this fine dining place, and it kind of he sees.
You would like that episode.
dude. I like wrote about it in my journal.
That's awesome.
And was like, this is amazing. This is the sort of like, this is what I want to portray to my like employees. Because the way that the girl is like talking about, it's a super expensive restaurant, and they have a person that like stalks people on social media so that they like know it's like they're coming here for their birthday. She's been talking about this place for, for 6 months, and they're like, you're not dropping a bill tonight. Like, this is all on the house.
Yeah.
They like overhear somebody say that they are sad that they're leaving Chicago and they hadn't tried deep dish pizza.
And they
so,
bring out a deep dish.
yeah, and they go to Pequod's, which is like a real spot. And he like runs and grabs like deep dish, and then the like chef does it like kind of,
Fancy.
elevated,
Yeah.
right? And she goes, I do this because I get a chance to like make somebody's day, right? Or even it's even
And he like the Forks is like that's how he starts every day from by cleaning all the silverware. And I don't want to ruin it.
yeah,
It's just,
no, but like but I'm like, and then he got his daughter T Swift tickets, and he's like, so he just kind of has this revelation of like what hospitality and service means and like how it impacts people. And then he is like doing this nice thing for his daughter, and there's a whole thing there, but he's like driving in traffic, like belting out T Swift and like cursing at people while he's driving. But it's just such this like amazing like juxtaposition. Anyway, I was like, I rolled a single tear out. And I was just like, this is incredible.
That's really cool. Yeah. So I don't really have guilty pleasures.
So you
like some
said
weird
we
stuff,
should,
though.
You said we should talk about how Little Women with Timmy Chalamet is my favorite movie, which could
Not my favorite movie. It's
could
one of
I
the-
don't know, man. I got the text message to maybe one of my favorite movies.
I think I said it's the best movie of 2020.
That
And it definitely
I've
is
never
one of my
seen it.
favorites.
I think
So
as
good.
a manly man,
Mm.
as a large, muscular, American
I can
male,
attest to this.
Little Women
Intimidate me.
maybe is not
Oh.
the typical choice.
It's truth.
What did you like about it?
The acting is phenomenal. Florence Pugh is unreal. The fact that it's 150-year-old dialogue.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is just a testament to the writer, who's unfortunately whatever her name. No,
not Jane Austen. Oh, this is gonna be terrible.
I don't know. I can't remember what else even the writer of Little Women wrote. But I read the book before I watched the movie. Anyway,
don't tell me yet, Ben.
The writer of the book or the guy who did the screenplay?
Oh wait, you're talking the book. Were you talking the book or were you talking the screenplay?
But Jane Austen did not write Little Women.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah, I have the name right here.
I said that wrong, but I still want to come up with the correct name.
Okay.
The correct name of the author of the book?
But were you talking about the book or the screenplay?
Both. I'm saying a lot of the dialogue is directly ripped from the novel.
Yeah.
So like, if you've read the book, the novel has great dialogue. Like, it's just the novel has great dialogue, but also the woman who directed Barbie movie,
Louisa May Alcott.
Louisa May Alcott is the author of the book. Well done.
Louisa May Alcott.
That was amazing.
You did get it. Oh yeah,
that was amazing. Right. And Greta Gerwig, who directed the movie, also. Did we talk about this? She invented a new form of dialogue writing in screenplays, which has become the new, like, it's being adopted by lots of other screenwriters and directors. She uses this little dash to show where the dialogue is supposed to overlap.
Oh,
so
interesting.
So she doesn't write the interruptions. She literally will write a line and there will be little notations where each character is supposed to start talking. So it's not like chaotic. It's not improvised. It's like the way that they talk over each other and the way the dialogue feels natural and realistic is written into the script. They're actually just... They're doing what's on the page. They're not like repeating. They're not interrupting each other, talking over each other at random intervals.
That's amazing because what we were talking about last week is, planning and improvising. Yeah. This is a prime example of like, I would write dialogue and then I would be like, okay, we have to get to the real setting. And with actors, I'd be like, hey, I want you guys to overlap and have this feel real, but you need to actually feel it out. And overlap where it feels like you're supposed to, right? We need this kind of, you need your instincts to kick in. But the fact that she's like writing it into the screenplay and it works
that's really cool.
Yeah. And it does. Like the dialogue carries that movie. Like it is a good movie. And the dialogue carries it. There's not really anything. There's not anything that really, really happens.
No, it's very like
you know what I mean?
With domestic drama. There's just hardly anything that It's like the richness of the interactions between the characters and their relationships. Again, I think I just don't know if I've ever seen somebody deliver dialogue in a more juvenile, authentically juvenile way, especially in a period piece like Florence Pugh did in that movie. And again, everyone in the movie kills it. Saoirse Ronan is insane. Yeah. I also
she's
amazing, ridiculous. Dude. And all of the hard thing about Little Women is it's like Louisa May Alcott was a deeply spiritual Christian person. And so a lot of that obviously is taken out of the book. Taken out for the movie because you can't have Christians being a major movie. I guess it would be crazy to actually
be weird
to actually admit that it was Jesus that inspired people to do these things. That we would all lose our freaking minds. Anyway, so that's obviously
it would fail in the box office, just like Jesus Revolution.
Remember that stupid Passion of the Christ movie they tried to do?
Those two movies.
So anyway, that's the two that got them.
We're 2 for 2.
But anyway, it's really good.
We're just kidding, Facing the Giants.
No, I'm not kidding. To the people who wrote Facing the Giants, this is the giant you're going to be facing. You step in the ring with me. I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime. I'm just here. I want a UFC fight every Christian movie producer. Why?
Kate and I were
Dallas Jenkins. Could you fight him? Dallas Jenkins, the creator of The Chosen.
Could I fight him? Of course I could fight him. Could I beat him?
Yeah.
Who knows? I could fight anybody.
I haven't seen him. Kate and I were in a bar and like just killing time before our dinner reservations, and they had WWE on in the background, and I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was terrible and amazing, and I'm like, man, I should maybe start watching some
Do you know
Friday
any
Night
fighters right now?
Well, the weird thing is that Randy Orton was like fighting for the belt, and I was like, that's a name that I recognize. Like, he's probably 50
Here's the thing that I feel about WrestleMania is that it's like somebody who grew up as a poor white person living in a single wide trailer for much of my childhood. WrestleMania is made for me.
I was gonna say you should be very proficient.
I feel like I need to reculturally align myself. The same way some people feel like they lost their like ethnic identity because they became too white or whatever people are doing nowadays.
Yeah.
I feel that about WrestleMania.
You became too much not to.
So I do love it. I think it's really cool. I don't know that much about it, but I like John Cena a lot.
Dude, I keep knocking these headphones out, and I don't understand
when they told me that it wasn't real fighting as a kid, I was like, I only care about real fighting. I don't care about
I just want to watch Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee
real
movies.
fighting.
I don't want this fake fighting. All right. So this actually goes in just slightly into what I have been pondering. Kate and I drove from Victoria, Canada today to come and record this pod. Not just to record the pod. We came back to stay in our home tonight, but we happened to be recording the pod
purposes.
today. And so for 5+ hours, I kind of have been pondering this because we were going through Childish Gambino's song list and listening to it, and it's fun to hear like his rap stuff and then shift into
Funk.
funk and like alternative, and then but then Kate listened to whatever one of the breakdown like videos of like his acting and stuff. I want and enjoy so much people who do multiple things, that are artists in multiple arenas. And we've talked about this a little bit before, but I can't quite get my mind off of it. It's like what I want to do.
You want to rap?
It's really difficult. I would love to rap. Don't tempt me. I would love to rap, but it's probably not. It's probably not what I would go to. But I think like for me, it's comedy, writing, coffee shop. That's kind of, and then podcast kind of is in there somewhere as well. It's kind of overlapping a bunch of stuff. But like I would love to be good at any of those. I would love to be proficient in all of them. But I also like it just as a personal like creator. I just get so bored with one thing over and over. Am I a crazy person? Is this like, do people, the way the world works, they go to their 9-to-5 job and they do the same thing over and over again, and then whatever. And then they're cool. A lot of people seem to be cool with it. Or even just a breakdown of like writing in series. Like I'm trying to write the new Space Pioneer right now, and I just cannot like get any momentum because I love the story. I love what I created. I love the concept and ideas of like where I want to go with it. But I also am like, I kind of want to just do something new.
Yeah.
That's not really a prompt to help you guys talk this out.
We're just helping you, I think.
But yeah, we're just going to do a little bit of a little bit of a therapy session. No, okay. I definitely look up to or like want to shape stuff that I do off of, music and acting are kind of like the easiest comparison, but even like I was watching some Anthony Bourdain, like he's a chef. He did like different series or whatever, but he like is also a novelist writing about it's all food related, but so he's like Anthony Bourdain, chef. Then he's doing these shows. Then he was writing. And I just, it's like a multifaceted act of creating. And that's where I want to be. I'm not going to model my life after Bourdain.
That's a good idea.
Why not?
But,
he also...
I just don't want to go out that way.
He also was like super into jiu-jitsu. It's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Anthony Bourdain?
Yeah, he had like a jiu-jitsu trainer that traveled with him. And he did jiu-jitsu like every day.
I think that people who like
allegedly
something that's interesting about the bear is it shows, I haven't really worked in kitchens. I've worked around food and service industry, but like the bear shows kind of this unhealthy like culture in kitchens, and I think it's probably getting a little bit better just as culture continues to move on. But you create a lot of bad habits working in a kitchen. Like it's
always wearing an apron.
What it's addictions and bad sleep habits and whatever. Like and you do that for 15 years as you're like trying to like master your craft or whatever, and then they realize that they have created a whole bunch of like negative behaviors, and then they crave like discipline and structure, so they get into jiu-jitsu, right? That it makes them kind of tap into a little bit more of that structure. And then even like martial arts too, that there's this Eastern philosophy attached to it, and so they're getting to taste a bit of spirituality. And I think that they kind of dangle it, it's dangled in front of them, and they're like, oh, this is like I need this in my life. So it doesn't surprise me, is what I'm
I think a lot of people who are addicted experience dysregulation physically and emotionally, and then also obviously spiritually. And when you're dysregulated, it's easy to use a substance or just a dysfunctional behavior to make you feel less physically and mentally and emotionally dysregulated. And then when you learn that there are more, not completely, like you could be obsessed with jiu-jitsu and it could be very unhealthy or whatever, but like more productive, less destructive things that like discipline really helps with dysregulation. But most people who have addiction problems need someone to literally tell them at 5 a.m. you do this, at 5:30 a.m. you do this. So it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, what is it? Is it just the way that I am wired?
Makes you
needing something new?
No, that's gotta be normal. I don't know how everybody is, right? But I don't do any music at all anymore except for myself. I played keyboard at our parent church 2 times last month because they literally didn't have a keyboard player, and I'm a very poor piano player. And I told them that beforehand. I did not volunteer. They asked me if I could do it, and I said, technically, yes, but you're not going to like it. Other than that,
I had that with bass at Community in Chicago. They're like, hey, Jess, you played bass before, right? I was like, yeah, I mean, I can fill in. And they like played this song, and they're like, Jesse, you like listened and learned the bass part? No, I didn't, but I can play DCG for you.
Did you? What song is it?
I have no idea.
I'm sure there was 5 of them.
There was a bass. There was like a bass riff, and they're like, all right, Jesse, you start this song. We'll count you and do the bass riff. And I go, I can't do it. And they go, no, go for it. I'm like, I literally, guys, this bump, like this is the bass that I'm bringing to the table. If you don't want it, that's fine. We can go just acoustic, but this is what I'm bringing to the table.
Yes, and I don't mean that maliciously at all, but that is exactly what I tell people when they want me to play music at church now. I do like to play the bass. For me, the bass is more fun to play at church because it's not my main instrument. But if someone wants me to play electric guitar at church, I'm like, if you're fine with me like riffing everything, if you're fine with me like making up my own part, sure, I'll listen to the music. I'll play what I feel like playing. If you don't want that, which you probably don't, I'm definitely not the guy. I play guitar.
These fingers are led by the spirit, and you can't hold me down to the sheet music.
I've just learned that. Yeah, for me, I can't give up. Like, electric guitar is something that's very personal for me. I didn't know that for a long time. To your point, it's something that I use as a creative outlet for enjoyment and for relaxation and for release. And so, like, for me, I need that. I don't play guitar every day, but there are seasons where I do. There are seasons where I play electric guitar.
No, I'm listening.
There are seasons where I play electric guitar. I'll go like a month or two and I'll practice every single day, and then I won't touch it again for a month.
Really?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, they're just it probably depends on like the stress level of my life in some ways.
Was it 8th grade that you like played?
I started
every day, all the time, or was it 9th grade? 8th grade summer, 9th grade summer.
Yeah, I would say It's funny that I don't even remember. It probably was around 8th grade, and then
I bet you it was probably 8th grade summer,
like the summer after 8th grade, and I wanted to play all the time. Like, that's literally was all I did for years.
2005 winter camp. I just remember this because I have that mug, the T-Dub mug, Transformation Weekend, and it says 2005 on it. So we were probably 15. Right. I just remember distinctly Darius being like, well, I have to bring my acoustic guitar because like I can't not play guitar for winter camp. And I go, yeah, but there's ladies out there to be
What's
hitting
funny
on.
is
you're going to
I was never like it's funny because like that makes me sound like I was the guy that would like sit around and sing John Mayer songs. And the funny thing is I am not and was never capable of that because I can't sing and I don't like to sit around and play chords. I wanted to bring an acoustic guitar because I couldn't bring an electric guitar, and I wanted to sit in the cabin all day.
In the cabin
and play
alone.
And play riffs and licks.
I remember that same camp. A kid played Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Let's go.
But he did he did the first, verse and chorus, but then he wrote in a Christian verse to it.
Dude, and he got the chicks for sure.
This guy, all of them. He didn't have enough purity sticks to go around.
I don't know if purity sticks.
Purity sticks is a reference to summer camps. It was a joke, right? That was like, hey, like camp girlfriends are a thing, but we don't want PDA. So here's a purity stick. You hold on to one end of the stick. She holds on to the other, so you can hold hands, but no PDA is happening. It's a bit. It is a funny bit.
Immediately off the dome, purity stick sounds like a PC way.
And I don't mean that as a euphemism.
Look, guys, we want.
Hey, ladies, you want to?
No. Look, everyone.
You want to cut off a piece of this purity stick?
All right, kids. Here we have Spider-Punk with a guitar.
Yeah. Spider-Punk looks.
Got to distract him.
Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that purity stick. Am I right, ladies? Sorry,
I wasn't saying anything. I'm done. I was going to say I love Spider.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if this is good advice.
Yeah, let's hear it, Ben.
I feel like, if you just get over that hump there, that's where success will be. When you've gotten to the point where you are right now, and you're like, it's becoming a chore. Once you get over that little hill, now it's just.
Well, I definitely experienced that in every project, right?
Sure.
And Rick Rubin's book talks about this a lot. Is that there's an excitement of discovering and engaging with a new idea, and that is super exciting, right? You like have this idea, and you're kind of marinating on it. You're engaging with it. You're kind of bringing new things together, and then you start to like put it together, and you start looking at it again and again. And you're like, okay, I would like to stop doing this project, but like you have to push through that, right? And then you kind of have to like find a way to get to the end. So that I struggle with that because what you're talking about was definitely a big issue for me. Like I started and stopped like 5 different novels.
Plus, I just finished Rat Race.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Let's go.
I enjoyed it.
What did you
I
think?
enjoyed it a lot. I think about the ending a lot. Like, right? We can speak. Everyone's read it, right?
I haven't read the revised ending.
Not based on my KDP sales.
I haven't read the revised. I bought it though, but I haven't read the revised ending. I read the draft ending, so I don't know what's different. But you can tell me it's okay.
It's the same. It's kind of the same ending. There's more of a payout for Mike, and there's a better lead up into it. So I know
you've told me that.
I do think about. I think the end. I think about a lot, like the last kind of like they're getting to after the car crash.
I mean,
they're getting to the
skip over like 5 minutes if you want to
that's
read
a good
it.
Point.
If you don't mind it being spoiled, now we're going to talk about it.
When we're getting to his mom's house.
Yeah,
and they're saving her. You got the last of the rats. I like seeing the big alpha. And kind of how he was playing that. I thought that was really cool. I just think about it in my head a lot. I like the way I imagined it. Like I'm in that. That's probably the part that stuck out the most that I really enjoyed. And I blew through that really quick quack. But,
quickie quack.
Quickie quack.
Affleck.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. And I mentioned that because I want you to finish Space Pioneer 2 because I also really
I'd love to read Space Pioneer 2.
I need to get it. Yeah. I'm laying it out right now. I just don't have... having a hard time finding the momentum.
Also, I had this thought, and I should have
lay it down.
There was something else I was watching that the character, their whole thing was like movie references. It was something similar to that, and I was like, "This is too much." And I was thinking, like, Jesse had the right amount. I think.
Yes.
And it fit, and it fit a little. It fit better, and whatever it was it a TV show or a movie? I can't remember what it was. But I was like,
well, and the fact that he like has a girl out of it is actually really fun because it would be easy to make that like his whole personality. But the fact that he has to be like, okay, not right now, or just not a movie.
Yeah, he has to reel it.
Is really good. Yeah,
totally. Also, for the movie references, I mean, we definitely. I think it helped that I was writing it with like a 24-year-old.
That's cool.
And he didn't understand most of the references that I was.
I got it.
I'm not. Listen, Ben. I'm not like coming against you or anything. I'm just saying he didn't. Listen, he didn't understand. Like I can ride my bike with no handlebars. Like he didn't know.
I could see how you can miss that.
He didn't know who. I almost said Wayne Brady. That's not it. Wayne from. I do think
that reference will hit with a niche group of people.
But. It was continuously the argument of, does it take away, if you don't get the reference, does it take away from the scene?
Mm-hmm.
And that was, if we thought that it detracted, like I had a dodgeball reference in early and we're trying to end a scene and he was like, I just don't get it. I don't think it helps. And so we took it out. We're like, all right, we'll just not go with a reference.
Also, I think you did a good job with like, slight horror because there wasn't anything that was like I didn't like shaking my boots, but there are some moments I'm like, this is kind of terrifying. Like if I was in this, if I was going through the freaking over the fence into the little with all the construction things, and then hear it, and he gets in that scene, I was like, I would be losing my mind.
Yeah,
it's tense.
In the next book, the next not Space Pioneer, but the next Rat Race-esque book, I want to lean in more to, because I think the more and more I read horror novels, the more I realize that like it's just not the same as like a jump scary movie, right? It just feels different. Like I just read It by Stephen King, and I didn't like think there wasn't ever a moment that I was like, this is terrifying. I'm just like, it's a book, and he's talking about horror things, but psychologically it's there, right? And you can play up elements of fear and the tropes of horror. It just, you have to like play into them slightly different in novel form.
I'm assuming most of the things
it's hard to, you go just parentheses, you go flip this page faster. You go really fast. It's a monster.
Sorry, Ben.
I'm assuming a lot of the references to places are real Chicago things. How much of the Chicago things in this book is real Chicago things?
Like all of
L train stuff.
Yeah,
blah blah.
All of them.
That's so cool.
It's
it was
pretty-
really cool to kind of like see that part of it.
I think
'Cause I've never
It's a little frustrating.
I think I broke a little bit of like, I think there's maybe one spot when they like climb down off of the train and are like on Armitage Avenue. That's like,
not quite.
that's a super deep cut, but like, yeah, it's maybe a little bit off, but for the most part, like I tracked out like
That's
the
cool.
exact, and I chose Lincoln Park to Westtown because as someone who has ridden his bicycle from Lincoln Park to Westtown, is super annoying to get to. Like, there's not an easy route because you have to like avoid the highway and you have to avoid the river, and yeah.
I would love to go to Chicago with you and have you point out all the places.
I'll take you straight down.
That'd be so
Ben,
cool.
have you been to Chicago? I had never been until we went right before Jesse and Kate moved back. They like had half their apartment already like packed up when we got there. We waited till the last second, and it was which is one of my favorite trips ever. My favorite trip to go visit a city ever. Obviously, being with Jesse and Kate like helped a ton because it was just so cool to be with Jesse and Kate. But it's if you get a chance to go, especially if you get a chance to go with Jesse, you should definitely go.
It's a super cool
Let's do it.
city. March. Let's go in March.
Yeah.
C2E2. Oh, Darius went to C2E2 because it was
I'm
like,
not going with you in March.
It was
My
happening.
anniversary's in March. Got that month booked. When in March though? When in March?
But yeah,
What date in March?
Sweet. So you,
Okay, I'll see you guys there.
I'm not sure. Done. But you liked it. You liked the ending. You liked Casey Girl. Read it in one sitting while she was getting her tattoo, and then yelled at me for the ending.
It's in April,
Because of
April 11th.
people who, never mind. I guess people already fast forwarded to this point, so we can't spoil stuff now. She
Fast
No,
forward
no,
5
no,
more
don't do
minutes.
Yeah. Okay, look, here's the thing. I do think it's good to have... I mean, Childish Gambino's the wrong person to compare yourself to because he's a freak of nature.
Aspire to.
He's a...
He is a
Yeah.
one.
Well,
in a
I don't
billion.
mean that you...
But what about
I
Mark
don't-
Wahlberg?
Yeah,
Yeah.
can you be
do
mediocre
that.
at 10 things and be really good at business? Sure.
I think that's the goal.
That's so mean. If I ever met Mark Wahlberg, do you know how nice I would be? I am obsessed with Mark Wahlberg. He is...
I was going to say, I mean, huge.
great.
He's a
huge fan.
phenomenal
Yeah,
actor.
he's great.
I just mean he had a very like kind of funny music career, pop music career, and then became a good actor. That's all I mean.
Yeah. It's a fun
He's also
journey.
great. Has his own fitness thing. He's obviously very fitness, more like fitness. Whole lasagna in my mouth. That's what Garfield would say. He hates Mondays. Yeah. But yeah, Mark Wahlberg.
were you
I
gonna
was
say?
going to say, I think everyone
Don't-
should have multiple creative outlets or just multiple outlets. Like some people love to play
Yeah.
softball. I don't have anything to say about that.
I think that ultimately, one, I'll just say Casey Girl didn't really yell at me, but she was very passionate about the ending. And then the other guy in our trivia group, Dave, was passionate in the other way. And they had like a real argument about
So
it.
what
And
was
I
she
was
passionate
just
about? Really cool.
smiling
Maybe you could tell
the
me
whole
off
time. I
pod.
was like, like, whether you like it or not, I like love that. Like
That's really cool.
I've sparked like an argument that you
Yeah.
guys care about.
They care about the story
this
enough.
to like, yeah.
You want community, but you want
Yeah.
people to still fight in the community.
I think she struggled with Mike being a husband and father and then ultimately making the decision that he made in
Right.
the story. Which
Yeah,
I
I
get.
get it too.
No, I think I could see why she had a problem, but like I feel like
No,
you
I
kinda
mean,
missed
I
the-
understand. Obviously, I
You-
disagree because I wrote it opposite of what she did. But I understand like why she feels the way she feels about like.
Yeah.
And also, she was like, I mean, Kyle would never make that decision, like her husband and like father
but also
to her
that
kids.
Mike is not Kyle.
Right. Well, that was my point. I was like, yeah, we all hope that, the dads in our lives would make good decisions, but unfortunately, it doesn't happen.
He sort of but he
It is
he redeemed
It
himself
is
in a way.
interesting, and I think some people aren't
That's why
going to
he
like it,
died.
but you intentionally set him up to have a redemption arc, but then also his redemption arc has a very tough ending, and it doesn't go back and fix like in a fantasy fairy tale, he would go back and fix the problem. Like, he's like a bad husband, he's a bad dad. He would go back and be a better husband, a better dad. And so I can understand how people would feel unfulfilled with that, but I do think even though the ending might not be what some people like, it's a pretty realistic picture of just this is what happens sometimes when there's a mutant rat.
Mutant rats are going to take over Chicago. Yeah. This is the realistic
so
portrayal.
She's not married to somebody in the military. It's not. He's not going to go. Kyle's going to be okay, Casey. We're going to protect him for you. We'll protect Kyle at all costs.
Well, and I think the argument is that Kyle would have found a way to to leave to then go protect Casey and this.
Kyle is definitely smarter
at all costs.
He's smarter and more talented than me, so I'm sure he would have found a way to
He
succeed.
would have ridden a sick motorcycle.
Would have ripped.
Did a cool
ripped the
backflip.
hit bike out of there.
You also did a really good job with the phone call to his wife. I was like, reading that after I finished, like,
right.
That's the best.
Writing that.
That's the best. Like, that conversation could have gone. Like, that's like, it could, I was reading, like, yeah, that was good.
That is like a great litmus for me. Is if I get when I'm writing a sermon, if I get emotional while I'm going through the sermon, at the points that I want to help people connect emotionally, then I'm like, okay, there might be something here.
I do. Okay, to wrap this up.
Yep. 15 minutes, almost 20.
We could keep talking about how awesome Rat Race is all day.
Oh, it is so good.
Go ahead and follow the link below to buy Rat Race. The multiple disciplines and doing them well, I do think that you have to be focused enough, like long enough on one to actually get the project done, right? Like, I think there's a little bit of overlap where, like Donald Glover's writing, his album while he's shooting Community, right? That's like in between scenes. He's, so there's a little overlap that happens, but you gotta.
Well, it also helps to be single and not have children if you want to pursue multiple career
and that's
ambitions.
like a whole nother thing. Is that like being creative, but also being from our perspective, good husbands and eventually good fathers, and also being creative, which that is apparently what the third season of The Bear kind of focuses on, and how he makes bad decisions on letting your relationships crumble while you think that you're focusing on the thing that matters.
Yeah, I've definitely put more time and energy into my marriage than it takes to produce several albums or make several movies.
Being single,
and I'm proud of that.
Being single helps for sure, because you can be obsessed. You could be obsessed with it, 18 hours a
and
day
still have
if you want.
bandwidth. Maybe,
yeah.
Which I'm not saying that's necessarily healthy. Like, that could also be unhealthy.
Well, I think it. Yes, if it's constant, it could be unhealthy. But I think that you can have a season of that. You can do 3 years, 4 years of like, I'm doing this thing
nonstop grinding.
Yeah,
you wake up, grind.
You're like working at it for 15 hours a day. Like, you can do that for a short season.
So this is the time to do it.
You will not progress your relationships.
Not at all.
Like, friends, family, whatever. Like, but you will get good at your craft.
Yeah,
and you might produce a lot of cool stuff.
Every single, I'm very much not interested in the sport of bodybuilding.
I can tell.
Yeah, obviously, I would be a lot. No. I mean, like, I grew up around it. I obviously look like a normal person, but one of the reasons I'm not interested in it is because everybody who does it and is successful at it talks about how toxic it is for their personal life.
Yeah.
I have a good buddy who's competing and I love him to death. Like, if you're listening to this, bro, I'm your biggest fan. I love you. And I hope you succeed at bodybuilding if that's what you want to do. But it's hard for me to watch the toll it takes on him, the dieting, and it can make you very lonely. And it's just like, and he'll even say, like, between competitions, he'll be like, I need to take a break. Like, this is exhausting. And he's a pretty healthy dude. But I think, if you want to be the best, that's all.
It's always the irony of like something that is a perceived healthy like hobby, and then it is very unhealthy. That is irony. Just I guess little lesson for you. Little lesson for you.
I think if you want to be great at multiple disciplines of things, you have to just sacrifice.
We have talked about this. We've talked about this before, but this we're gonna wrap up on it. Okay. What was I just watching? But the thing that I always think about is, Michael Jordan burned so many bridges in Chicago, and he should be the king of that town. So many bridges.
How long did it take to build it back up?
Quite a bit.
A lot of tax dollars.
But burned all of his relations. He should be running the town, right? But he didn't. He just burned so many relationships. And
that's wild.
In the the Bulls documentary, I forget what it's called. The Last Dance.
The Last Dance, yeah.
Yeah. He is almost in tears. He's like, people don't understand what it takes to be great. and through all these stories, through talking about all these people who like the friendships and relationships that he burned during their run, it's like you chose. Do you want the 6th ring or 5th ring or whatever it was? Or do you want a happy family? And he chose 5th ring.
It's funny in the
and he's like, this is what you all wanted, right? This is what an entire city of Chicago wanted for this to happen. And I made the sacrifices to be great. And
it must be, well, I can tell you from personal experience, my counselor last week very keenly pointed out, it looks like I am still addicted to people's approval. And there's a couple people in my life that specifically is like, I want these specific people to approve of me. And if they don't, I really struggle. Or if I don't perceive that they do.
Yeah.
And I think it must be extremely painful to be so addicted to success that you feel like you're like, what kind of great, like, and I don't mean this, I mean this as like a crazy person.
Yeah.
What kind of crazy person hears a city of people say, we want another championship ring, and then thinks to themselves, I have to please this whole city of people.
Right.
That's a crazy thing
to
think.
Put it on my shoulders. I'll do it.
That's it's like, especially to look at your family and be like, well, look, family, people really want me to win a game, so I guess our life isn't important. Like, that's a sad, hurtful, painful thing to think. And I'm not judging. I'm just saying, like,
no. Well, I think we all have. Obviously, I think we can relate to Michael Jordan. No, because we're black. I think that
he's actually a distant cousin.
I want more, right, out of perceived success, out of podcasts, books, coffee shop or whatever, and because I'm like doing a whole bunch of things, it takes a really long time for the snowball to get rolling, right? And my hope is one of these days it will actually roll and everything will be pretty successful.
And you'll take out your friends and family.
Right, but during all of this, to still have a loving marriage and family, and friends and stuff. So it takes an even longer time. If I said, F everybody, like, I'm doing this thing, I could grow. I'm doing that thing. I could grow podcasts, books, coffee shop. Mm-hmm. I could grow all of those a lot quicker, but this is at least what makes me feel better about not being successful is I'm like,
I do think that's probably the general feeling of our generation in our 30s. that a lot of people, I think, our age right now are like, holy smokes, are we ever going to like, is anything ever going to happen? And I do think that's probably for our generation in this day and age, being in your 30s, it's like, okay, we've been doing the same kind of stuff. We've been preparing for something for, feels like almost in some ways 20 years of our lives.
Yeah.
And like, we still don't have anything to show for it. And so I think it's good. It's a healthy, there's a lot of people trying to succeed.
Definitely a tension there. There you go. If you're,
Let's go.
Just as a side note, I think we're going to have a bingo card on the Instagram here pretty soon. You can print that off. You can play bingo.
Yeah.
If Riley's mentions, if I say tension, you know,
dude,
Darius makes something
Uziel's
spiritual.
mentioned.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to Alex Sidabaka, who is my friend. He was a youth pastor in Washington and then became the Network Youth Director of Southern Idaho, which is a whole, if you don't know anything about the Assemblies of God, that doesn't mean anything to you, but it's a cool job that he has. He invited me out to speak at their camp in Southern Idaho last week, and he referenced the podcast while we were in conversation. He goes, yeah, I pay attention.
What'd he say?
So just shout out to Alex for even listening to, I don't know how many episodes he's listened to, but even listening to like 1 or 2 episodes.
At least one. If you like have dedicated an hour of your time to like get
Legit.
through the majority of a podcast, like
Legit.
that's keep listening. Keep listening. Keep telling your friends, you know?
Yeah.
All right. We have gone on for a long time.
Told you.
Yeah.
And it happens. It's whatever. But it was totally enjoyable. Thank you guys so much for listening. You should subscribe if you haven't already done that. If you do enjoy it, you can like it. That helps us out to get into people's
Ears.
What's the algorithm?
Algorithm.
That's a whole other thing.
Algorithm. He's got his own rhythm.
He's got his own rhythm. I have fallen into Trump impersonations, and I don't understand. What he's not a bad guy,
My favorite, I don't know how many times is, I don't know what he just said, and I don't think he knows what he just said either. I've seen that. I've used it.
I don't know what he said. I don't think he knows what he said either.
I've used it almost every day.
I mean,
it's
unfair. We need to wrap this up, but it's unfair to put those guys in a debate against each other. Like, obviously, they're, I'm not even talking about like what you are trying to tell people, what you're about. Like, it's Trump's aggressiveness and like also like he still has his wits about him. It's just not fair.
He was actually pretty calm this one. He was calm. Trump. He could have been meaner. We've seen him meaner.
Well, I mean, I think even Trump is like, hey, we really shouldn't kick this guy while he's down. It's too hard.
They see me beating up an old guy.
He's calling him.
No one likes to see an old guy beat up. Am I right? I'm right.
You know how old you are, right?
Yes, I'm in my late 50s. Look it up. I'm always right.
Late 50s, but body of a 25-year-old. I'm a scratch handicap.
235 or what?
They are the 2 oldest men who have ever been president of the United States. They're literally running against each other, and they're the 2 old. I don't understand how that happened.
They need walkers while they're running against each other.
Those little Walmart things with the baskets in the front. So let's do it.
We devolve. Right into the pod. NewWayStories pod.
Right in your guilty pleasure.
gmail.com. Make comment on it. What's your guilty pleasure?
Indeed.
Yeah. That's we'll
a movie or movies or music or something. Don't tell us like
substances or anything like that.
Yeah.
Movies or music. Movies or music.
Tell the cops.
We have to. We have to tell the cops. It's a podcast code.
I don't want to be culpable for that.
Spotify made me sign it. It's a document, and they said here, sign it at the dotted line, and I said, usually I like to read these things, but I'll take your word for it. So I signed it, and now I'm bound to it until I decide not to. Yeah, that's
so much fun.
So much fun. All right,
I
guys.
rewatched Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is still the greatest movie of all time. Leaving that there. Bye. Have a great week.
No, it is super good. All right, man. We'll see you.